1 hour at this point just to determine where the well is. Again, does not automatically mean DNR says, all right, it shows it could be dewatered and pull more gas. Now you're automatically in it. No, no. Yes.
Are you guaranteeing us that you will not do any dewatering or testing on the community well?
All right,
Yeah.
you bring up a good point. Let's talk a little bit about what is the community well. And I know the sensitivity, and I want to break it down in what I think we're talking about in comparison to the whole scheme. If we're talking about the wells down Sportsman's Drive, I agree, that's community. But a lot of the other wells around in the swamp here are kind of also called community. I would hope that we would all agree, and those that are located around the area in the swamp, that those would be allowed and not the ones down Sportsman Drive, if we can get an agreement on that.
I do not agree to that.
I don't
For one.
either. We were told a long time ago that there just would not be any dewatering in the community, period.
Test confirms whether or not you have gas, and then at that point, you go to dewatering would be one option on the table, but also that's when we direct Texas Brine saying, we've got a test that shows there's gas. If dewatering is not gonna be an option, we're gonna need to see an option that gets that gas out.
Well, but you just got to saying that could only mean no gas right there. Doesn't mean no gas in the area. So say it shows no gas, what do you do?
And that's when you're talking about the wider area thing, where we're talking about not just
Is
the
it
ORW
DNR's
test.
Is it DNR's policy that you're gonna get every damn cubic foot of gas out from under our homes, regardless of what damage you do to our property?
I don't think that's what we're going for. We know.
But no, I just asked the question, is that DNR's policy, you are gonna force us to get every cubic foot of gas out from under our homes, even if it does damage to our property?
I'm not forcing you to do anything, number one. Right now,
Are you going to force Texas Brine to do something that will cause that damage to my property?
the burden is on Texas Brine to provide the DNR data to move these
The
wells.
burden is on DNR to say what their policy is. That is a simple, straightforward question.
Question, if the subsidence is going to be caused, I'm assuming the long-term dewatering is going to draw a lot more than 600 gallons. Is there an option to pump this shit back into the ground in the area to prevent any subsidence? Is that a viable scientific option and not monetarily feasible, or is it not feasible at all?
It hasn't been proposed to our agency to date.
If you pump it in, can I assume that you're looking at zero subsidence, correct? If you pump it back in.
That's not a given.
I can't make an assumption
Not
on
a
that right
given.
now.
All right, why is it not a given? You're taking something out, you're putting it back, you're putting the exact same thing back in. Otherwise, you're gonna pump it over there to the sinkhole. What's the difference?
Well, basically, they're already doing that by pumping it back in the sinkhole, it's going back into the MRA, so they're
If you pump-
basically doing that already.
I don't think it is a simple closed box. I'm not a geologist, or a hydrologist. But I don't think that to take out and then to put back, down the street, if you will, into a similar level does not mean that you will not be causing compaction at the area of extraction, that it's going to necessarily be offset by what you put.
I'm talking about
back in.
closer to the vicinity though. In other words, I wouldn't advise, if you
No,
take it out over there and you put it in.
I'm
at this well,
talking about
that's
one
not gonna
location
work.
on Sportsman's Drive and another location on Sportsman's Drive.
And you-
Because that's
you
where
have
they're
concerns
talking
about that too?
Yes, I am concerned about that. That has not been proven that will work.
But nor is DNR committed to ordering long-term dewatering. If we run the short-term tests and they show this ORW has got gas it can produce.
So is DNR committed to not cause additional long-term subsidence under our homes? We don't have gas in our homes.
You're asking me to predict whether your home's gonna subside and whether DNR caused it.
That's exactly right. If you were gonna take action, which historically in other parts of the United States causes subsidence, and if we are already facing an acute level of predicted subsidence in the next 15, 20 years, then why would you even consider doing something of this nature if we don't have gas in our homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's 28 months in counting. And there's no gas in our home.
There is gas in the community's homes, okay? It might not be in your home.
Whose home is it
It's
in?
underneath our homes.
Is it in your home?
It's under our homes. If our slab cracks, due to any subsides, it'll be in our home. And I preferably would not care to have those monitors in my home.
Are you staying
It
in your
makes no
home?
difference whether I'm staying or not. I was chased out of
Sure it
here.
does. I mean, you're talking to people that
Yeah.
are staying, so if you're not
So
staying.
you're- you-
I see that, I understand that, okay? But if I was here and if I was, there are other people on that side that are staying here, and their homes are affected.
Well,
So you're gonna speak, you're speaking for me?
I'm not speaking for
Who
anybody.
are you speaking for?
I'm speaking for myself, because I'm still
But
there.
you are not gonna, you
Y'all don't
are
need to
not a
swallow
long-term
between
property owner.
yourselves. I think, I'm here to hear what DNR has to say. I'm staying, I'm across the bayou. I wanna hear what you're saying.
All right, let's hear it.
And Mr. G, when it comes to talking about us forcing stuff, no matter what the residents' concerns are, that's the reason when DPBE was brought up, it was later shelved, was based on those concerns. That's the reason we're here having this discussion tonight. We want to hear your concerns. If we can alleviate your fears where we think the science justifies it, we'll try to do that. If not, we will try to find other means to remove the gas, but the gas has to come out. And we're trying to find a way, and part of it's driven by science, but we also are sensitive to y'all's concerns. We know you've got to live with this every day. So that's why we want to hear you out.
I don't wanna stand, I would have a response to that, but I don't wanna stand in the way of the request.
And again,
This
we're taking this
gentleman to
one
hear.
step at a time, literally one phase at a time. We're at a testing phase. And I understand your concern. You're concerned that that's gonna open the door to long-term dewatering automatically.
I think what he asked was, if y'all's activities cause additional damage to our property, you're gonna stop and reassess what you're doing. If you're doing something and it causes further subsidence to our property and begins to damage our property, are you gonna stop and reassess what you're doing to stop the damage from going forward to our property, if it's a cause and effect? I think that was what he was getting at.
DNR is not doing anything, number one.
DNR is licensing what's being done, and DNR is authorizing and overseeing what's being done.
Right now, we're at the testing phase. Let me please get through, give me 2 minutes to get through that phase, please. We're looking to remove a maximum amount of 600 gallons of water. And I'm sorry, not we. Texas Brown has proposed to do this, and this is where they've cited your all's concerns, and so they said, we don't know what to do. This helps the monitor these ORWs move to the next phase. It's a strong piece of evidence presented to DNR to help them move through. It is shown to be successful on the east side, and it's helped us go to the next phase of that ORW. 600 gallons, and the MRA is a pretty prolific aquifer. If you take an ice chest out to Bayou Corn and you dip it in and you yank it out, do you have a hole there in Bayou Corn when you pulled that water out? Does your ice chest, does the outline of your ice chest there, what happens? The water comes right back in and fills up. For this test, try to look at it that way. 600 gallons, and that's max. Some of these tests over here have been running 5-6 gallons a minute, 300 gallons. I mean, sorry, 5 or 6 gallons a minute, total of 300 gallons. That information is critical to move these to the next phase. Pull that out, the water comes right back, but it gives a critical piece of information. Again, that does not necessarily automatically mean dewatering. Oh, DNR is going to say, Texas Brine dewatered that well now because it showed it could do good. That's why we're here tonight, to hear your all's concerns, and if it's like, nope, we don't want long-term dewatering, which obviously I'm hearing, well then, we're going to take that into consideration, but to move these to the next phase, we don't even know where the wells are right now.
They may all go to phase 4. It may show that none of these wells are a candidate for dewatering and they can't get anywhere.
I maintain it has not been proved we have to go through these phases to deplete the aquifer.
When Texas Prime proposed these
But that's
phases,
a separate issue.
okay, they have worked for the wells, those phases, we've successfully gone through a number of those wells for the next phase across on the east. Texas Prime has not proposed anything, an alternative to the dewatering and depletion test that has been satisfactory to date to help us move to phase 4. They've proved successful across the east, and that's kind of where the challenge is right now, is we haven't been provided another piece of evidence to go to phase 4. Those tests have shown to be successful. We're looking for a 1-hour test, yanking that volume of water out, move there. Like I said, all the wells so far that they've proposed recently have all gone straight to phase 4. Some even phase 6. We've got a couple wells that went to phase 6 that have never shown gas. They're on the extreme east and west.
And y'all, you have to realize also is, yeah, we have municipal water everywhere in the parish, but at one time, there used to be water wells everywhere. And this is very similar to a water well, is drawing water from the aquifer from a water well.
All the wells in the, right here, like this, not only water around the, or this still producing right now.
The ones down Sportsman's Drive, I think they all are.
So for right now, there's really no reason to be water or do the test. Now, once the gauge is, or once they go down to 0 or whatever, I don't see where testing would be damaged. With the clause saying that DNO will never allow permanent dewatering.
They haven't told you the full story.
Well, from what I'm hearing, Bob.
Well, I'm just telling you, they haven't told you the other part of the story.
What part of it?
The state asked Texas Prime to submit a plan for retiring these wells, which Texas Prime did do, and it consists of 3 parts, A, B, and C. I have a copy of it if you want to see it.
I've got copies behind Farrell that I'll hand out at the end.
And fundamentally, what Texas Prime submitted was that if any 2 of these 3 conditions that then they were proposing that we would move forward to phase 4. That is where you close the valve on the well. Now, the first condition is that the gas just quits flowing, or essentially quits flowing. There's a very low flow level. We can talk about the adequacy of that level. But fundamentally, what it boils down to is gas is no longer flowing through the lower level. That's one condition. The other condition pertains to PMW, which DNR demanded that Texas Prime install against their wish, as I understand. But be that as it may, I think we all recognize we've got the PMWs now. We don't have any objection to the PMW, but the idea was that if the PMWs fall off, show that the pressure is falling off, and there's actually, when I say the pressure, there's a differential. When it falls off to a point where it stabilizes, this will indicate that the well has gotten to so-called hydrostatic equivalent, and that if that condition is met, that would be the second